Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next session, The Future of Home Buying, the broker's guide to leading the market.
My goodness, thank you. So for those that don't know, CoreLogic is a company that has been acquiring data for quite some time. I mean, over 50 years now, and we talked about it yesterday. 2 years ago, they were acquired to go private for $6 billion because of all the data that they have. However, I want to leave it to the experts. Praveen, can you fill us in on CoreLogic and everything that you guys have done?
Thank you, Jonathan. What an absolute pleasure to be here, bright and early. Good morning, everyone. What I thought I'll do is just run through a quick stat on, you've heard the industry say CoreLogic is the gold standard when it comes to property data. I'm going to pull up a slide. All right, so what makes CoreLogic the gold standard for property data? So just through numbers, can you imagine if you need information on all of the 150 million properties that are in the United States and need to have a 99.9% coverage on transaction history, property records, lien information, what does it take? It takes going to about 22,000 different data sources, whether it's a digital data source some of the cities and taxing authorities have, or whether it's really to send someone physically into the office, into the tax collection office, get the property information, and record it into a digital form. We do all of that. So we have a huge processing center that brings in all this information. We've invested in technology called CLIP, which is the CoreLogic Integrated Property Identifier, because if you're going to all of these 22 different data sources, everyone names property differently. Some call it by address, some call it by street number, some call it by property parcel number, and they change. And so it was important for us to bring it all together, and so we've invested in the technology. Just sort of some stats around that. Once we have the technology, we've invested in about 200 different analytical models to enhance the data and the information that you can glean from it, because data is only data if you can use it. It becomes information if it starts to become useful. And we have about 1 billion property records that we touch and update on a periodic basis. 50 years worth of property history. It's nowhere else can you get that. 50 years worth of property history, it's about 5.5 billion records. So enough of the numbers, but it's really, it boils down to, when it comes to property data, there's no other player like CoreLogic.
So, you know, I spent time early in my career in retail, and we used to see CoreLogic a lot early on, and that was something that I didn't understand at the time, so I moved into the broker channel and realized we didn't have that access similar to what we had before. So you are the only company, is this correct, that is connected to every tax or every assessor in the nation?
That is pretty much.
Okay, so that's why you're able to get this accuracy at 99.9%.
Yep.
With all the data that you all have at your fingertips and all the teams that you have, and obviously going private, somebody found so much value in it, what kind of innovation are you looking for with all the data points that you have? What can we expect?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So CoreLogic serves 3 end markets. We serve the real estate end market, we serve the mortgage end market, and we serve the insurance end market. And to my earlier point about data is only useful if it becomes information and you can do something with it. So we've invested in a big R&D facility, a big R&D team that constantly uses the cutting edge technology. So everyone talks about AI. CoreLogic has core AI embedded in pretty much all of the solutions. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about, to showcase a specific innovation that is going to blow your mind. So the question is, are you ready to hear it? All right, let's do it. I'm going to stand up.
Yeah, stand up.
That's
go.
okay. So what I'm going to show you is, I'm going to show you a stat, and then I'm going to ask you if this makes sense, right? And if I tell you as of last week or yesterday, there's about 4.1 million shoppers that are actively shopping for homes. Does that stat make sense? Okay, so now the question is, anyone can give you these numbers. How do we get to that? So if you think about the heart of where this technology is, it comes down to three things. One is we have technology. These days, everyone has a phone, pretty much. We have technology that can tie your phone to a place of residence, right? So just think about that. Technology that ties your phone to the place of residence. Second, because of our 99.9% coverage in the market, we have technology where for each residential property, we know the exact latitude and longitude parcel boundaries of that property, like down to like inches. Technology 3, which is probably common technology these days, is just MLS listings. So I mentioned earlier that CoreLogic operates in the real estate vertical. CoreLogic owns a software called Matrix that is pretty much deployed across all of the real estate industry. About 85 to 90% of the listings flow through that. So when it comes to listings of properties that are up for sale, we know exactly what they are, and we know ahead of anybody else, right? So now, where does magic happen? The magic happens when you combine all of these three technologies and use what we call location intelligence to determine shopping patterns. So imagine if one of the households that has a mobile device, they start demonstrating shopping behavior. So they walk into an open house, they walk into a property that's listed for sale, they go back home. They walk into another property listed for sale. They go back home. Imagine the kind of signals that we can do. So that's what you're seeing here. What you're seeing here is that physical shopping intent converted to a shopping signal. And so we've tested this for about a year now, and what we've started to see is that shopping behavior translates to actions. The action can be, I'm in the market for buying a home. Or it can be, I'm in the market to really revamp my kitchen, but I want to go and see all of these staged model homes to get a sense of what that looks like. Maybe I'm a prime candidate for cash out refi, and that's what I'm trying to do. Or I've built in enough equity in my home that I have some projects in mind that I want to go see what's happening. In all instances, this behavior translates to some sort of a shopping intent. So we're pretty excited to bring this technology. It is a result of some cool things coming together, and the R&D output is just phenomenal.
That's mind-blowing to start seeing all this. And I believe you actually have a few things for us when it comes in form of a demo that we might be able to go through here, obviously, and knock it out and make sure that we're showcasing to the community how you can leverage all of this. But I do have a curious question. Just out of curiosity, how does CoreLogic come up with this idea, and how did you bring it together?
So I go back to this, technology is cool only if you're able to use it. And we've always had, so CoreLogic as its genesis always has excelled in working with some of the large enterprises that tend to have massive amounts of analysts, technology to digest all of this information and make it useful for them. But thanks to AIME and others, we sort of want to really make some of this technology useful for independent business owners, so mortgage brokers, individual loan officers. And so we're doubling down on our strategy to help the mortgage broker community. So what we've done, actually, when I was at UWM Live earlier this year, a couple of things that I heard really, really resonated with me. One of them was what, Tom, you said. Your net work is your net worth. And that sort of resonated to me really, really hard because it sort of really talks about how mortgage brokers think about having your network, right? Because that essentially translates to your net worth. The second thing I think one of the leading brokers talked about is you double your leads and you double your loans. Makes sense, right? So the more you engage with, the more connections you have, the more leads you have, the more conversions you have. So what we've done is we've invested in building a platform called Araya. We launched it at our premier conference at Core Connect earlier this year. And this is all about making that technology accessible to independent business owners, mortgage brokers, individual loan officers. And our vision is to bring the complete power of what CoreLogic has to offer into that. So let's sort of quickly, I'll give you some previews and then we'll get into some of the demos. But if you think about the login experience of Araya, as soon as you log in, what you're really seeing is a series of solutions that either all of it can be useful to you or one of it can be useful to you. You can pick and choose what you want. And just to sort of highlight property intelligence, that's a solution where you get a 360 view of the property. Remember the 50 billion transaction records I was talking about? You can zero it down to a single property. When you talk to your end customer, you'll be the most informed about the property that the customer is interested in. When you think about market intelligence, so imagine if you had access to, for the past 50 years, all of the mortgage transactions, all of the mortgage-related transactions that have ever happened. And for every transaction, if you had access to all the players in the transaction, the realtor, both the buy side and the sell side, the loan officer that was involved, in the case of a wholesale channel, the mortgage broker that was involved, the correspondent buyer that was involved, the wholesale lender that was involved. Imagine capturing all of that information and putting it together in a single repository and then making it so easy for you to consume so you can do things like loan officer recruiting. If you want to complement growing your business and recruiting the right loan officer that can complement, maybe you're successful in one geographical area and you want to expand your business in another area. How do you find someone that mimics your strengths, the kind of loans that you do, the kind of products that you make, and get to somebody similar? You can do that through market intelligence. If you want to grow your network, you want to find realtors that operate in your area, or you want to find realtors that are doing really well in an adjacent neighborhood that you want to penetrate in. How do you know who they are? Market intelligence is the answer. You want to benchmark your performance against how you're doing and against your peers. Market intelligence is your answer. So making all of the data accessible to something that means something for individual mortgage loan originators, mortgage brokers, and make it actionable. That's what we do in market intelligence. And then finally, precision marketing. So remember the technology I just talked about a couple of minutes ago about the whole location intelligence and how do I marry that? We've brought it down and made it so easy to use. I'll stop talking, I'll show it to you. So when you log into precision marketing, the demo speaks for itself. All you have to do is 2 steps. 2 steps, that's it. So in this particular instance, what you're seeing here is a mortgage broker uploaded their contact information, let's say 1,000 contacts that they've had. And in about 30 minutes, we process all of that information, in fact, less than 30 minutes, depending on how many contacts you load. We process all of that information, and you get this screen. And this screen is so powerful. So imagine what's here. So immediately, it gives you a visual layer of where your customers are located today, right? So this is sort of your customer base. But the more important thing is, it starts to talk about who in your customer base. So in this particular instance, of your 1,000 customers, 46 customers are in market today, like literally today. So as of last night, that's the count. And for all of those 46 customers, we'll give you information. We'll tell you, obviously, where they're located, because you've told us that. But we tell you what kind of, I'll actually show that to you in my next slide. So for each customer, when you click on View Details, I don't know if it's visible on the screen, but we'll give you all of the information you need to know to have an amazing conversation with that customer. You'd be able to say, you'll know everything about the property that they live in, the single-family residence, the property value, their estimated equity today. We can even tell you who their lender is if you need that, the loan type that they have, when they originated that loan. We'll tell you all about that. But even cooler, we'll tell you the average listing price of the homes that they have visited. We'll tell you how many homes they visited so far. Obviously, we're not going to tell you exactly the address. That's not cool, right? But we'll tell you how many homes they visited. The more important stat will tell you how many they revisited. And why is that important? Because we've seen that revisits sort of solidifies that intent. If someone's revisiting a home, that's someone that's ready to move. So you can prioritize. Of your 1,000 customers, you don't have time to call 1,000 customers every day. Of all the customers, you can prioritize who you want to call, who you want to engage. We'll also tell you if they visited a property in-state or out-of-state. If it's an out-of-state, that's a big flag. It's like, all right, so either they're looking to move or they're getting ready to buy an investment property. You're there to help. So we're very, very confident that the solution unlocks the classic problem of timing. So yesterday when Neil was talking about relationships, right, he talked about how there's a silent majority that's listening to everything that you say, listening to everything that you speak, but waiting for you to reach out to them at their time of need. So the way I would extend that is I would say, yes, relationships are important, but timing is everything. Timing is everything. If you are the first person to reach out to your customer when they need you, research, there's a lot of studies in this, right? Fannie Mae did a study, Freddie Mac did a study. There's a lot of studies in this. Research has shown that the loan officer that reaches out to the consumer first, more often than not, wins the business. Now, obviously, if you don't have a product that meets their needs, different story. But if you have a product that meets their needs, there's no reason for that consumer to shop around, or even if they shop around, you've been there first, and they usually give you the preference. So that's the technology, and it's available to all of you starting today.
So it is a big deal. We've never had anything like this at all, and this is the steps it's going to take for us to propel forward. One of the things, too, that I loved about what you said, it's not just past clients. These are clients that potentially worked with somebody else after you talked to them, right? We've all had that happen to us. As an originator myself, yes, I've lost a loan. But that's also a client that you can upload into the system because it's first-person contact, correct?
Correct.
So even that client that shops again later, hey, I'm just checking on you. I know it didn't work out for us last time, but imagine it pops up on your screen, a year later, and that's the call you make to that client that you lost a year prior. Hey, I'm just checking on you. I know you closed on the home. I know it's been about a year. I know we didn't work together, but I'm just hoping everything's okay and you're really enjoying where you're living. I just want to check in on you and just walk through that process. Could you imagine how that's going to feel to give you even one additional opportunity? And that's the power of this, but it's on you to execute on it.
It's true. And even knowing, there's stats that follow how many people actually come back to the mortgage broker or loan officer that they used. And that number is shocking. And it's not sometimes that we're not doing a good enough job. It's put yourself in the eyes of the consumer. The majority, if I went and visited one open house, it's going to show you this person may be interested. For me personally, I took my closed database for the 3 years prior when I got the opportunity to pilot with CoreLogic. I think it was like 685 closed clients within a 2-year period during that time. And the reality is, for all of us, time is our only our limited asset. There's only so much. We have teams that we build. We have CRMs that are constantly trying to stay in contact. Yet that number of how many of your past clients come back to you. I think the best in this room may say all my past clients come back to me, but data shows otherwise, right? Roughly 90% don't remember who it was that did their last transaction. So for me, when I uploaded my database from a closed loan period that I had close to 600 transactions, I had 17 shoppers. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know this guy. This is a friend of mine, right? And I saw it was an out-of-state. He was shopping out of state, but viewed 7 listings. That's not an accident, right? So when I called him, it was very similar. And the great part about this, the one thing you guys know about Jonathon, he's really good at writing scripts, right? Believe it or not, that was kind of his background before he came here. He's going to have some scripts that are going to help you when you guys stop at the CoreLogic booth to be able to have those conversations. You don't want to call and say, hey, I saw that you walked into an open house yesterday. It's creepy. I remember when we went to their Discovery Center in Texas, it was like some James Bond 007 type situation, right? The technology that they have, pay attention. Look and see, like if you're using UWM SoftCheck, they're into credit pulls. They're into, as he mentioned, every MLS in the market, all of the data is coming secondhand from what CoreLogic is providing. What they've allowed for brokers and stepping into a space that prior, we didn't have access to this. And we talk about brokers are best for our consumers on the fact that, we want to make sure that we're leveling up from a technology space. This is something now that they've come to the market with that's not an enterprise account. Typically, a company like CoreLogic that went for $6 billion, they're only selling enterprise accounts. And maybe you're a mid-sized company with 30 employees. Not all 30 maybe are going to use it. This puts it on you as the independent originator to make that decision. What would an ROI look like for me if I knew when every one of my clients were shopping, right? To me, when I use that, and there's others in here, I know you mentioned that you spoke to Michelle Cretan, who's also had great experience with this. Talk to Michelle about how she's used it. I can tell you personally, for me, I pulled out 6 closings from this. And these were people that I did a great job for. I had a 5-star review for them. My CRM was communicating with them. But hey, I went and saw 6 houses and they didn't call me. Well, guess what happens? You're leaving that door open to an originator that's maybe sitting at that open house and sells that person. This is a way for you to safe keep your pipeline and make sure that that erosion isn't happening and keeping that business with you. My opinion, there has not been a better ROI for me personally to know what's going on with my past database to give me action items to say, now's the time to call Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and that's going to be a very simple call, right? Yeah. It's not, don't be creepy, as I mentioned, but just have an open conversation. Hey, I wanted to check on you and see how things are going. The market's improved. Share the knowledge that we have and a lot of the stuff that we're gaining here today, but this is something that's going to precision market your client to know here's the time to act, right? As Praveen said and Neil touched on, timing is everything, right? This gives us an advantage right now that brokers have never had before. Praveen and the CoreLogic team are true partners to the broker community. Please check out their booth, see what they have. They're rolling out a special, and I'm sure you can maybe talk a little bit more on this that we're including, right?
Yeah, we got to jump off. The one thing I will say, check out their booth. Please go. Thank you also, UWM helped put this over the edge, just with the platform that they have to get us the deals that we were able to put in front of you. You're not going to believe the price point that we have on this. Check out their booth. They have the scripting. Don't scare your clients when you call. But please, 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 go. Have some fun. Let's get better as a unit. We now have the technology to do it. We appreciate you.
I want to.
We gotta head out. We gotta head out.
I want to say a quick thank you for AIME to introduce CoreLogic to the mortgage broker community. And you can scan this QR code. It'll take you directly to the special. But it is a combination of market intelligence and precision marketing as a solution. You'll love it. And you won't get this offer anywhere else but through AIME. Thank you.
Thank you so much.